3 million years from Earth, the Red Dwarf podcast thanks for the memory. Its crew, Blake Braswell, a USA native, and Lee Malaby, his English co-host. Additional. Moving into Series 5, I'm looking forward to having some intelligent, insightful conversations about these episodes. That would be the case, but for two minor drawbacks. One, there is no one with any intelligence on this podcast, and two, neither of us are insightful. What is up, Smegheads, and welcome to Series 5 of Thanks for the Memory, a Red Dwarf podcast where we rewatch every episode of the BBC comedy show Red Dwarf and discuss them. I am your host, Lee, and I am here with Blake. Hey, Blake.
I am sitting here very happy over in the US of A because I wrote down one of my first notes. This episode is the first appearance of one of my favorite things, which is an excellent plan, sir, with only two minor drawbacks.
And that's why I put it in.
There are a few versions of this that are my favorite. They are yet to come in subsequent episodes, but I do love this.
Yes, there's two in this one, and I actually think the second one's funnier.
Yes, yeah.
For a very specific reason, and we'll get there, I guess.
But my favorite one is yet to come, and for the life of me, I don't remember if it's Series 5 or if it happens in Series 6.
Okay.
But it's just his delivery with only two minor drawbacks.
Yeah, I think in this one, it's one, we don't have any deflective shields or whatever it is, and two, we do not have any deflective shields. I know that's the same as one, but I thought it was very pertinent to mention it, or very important that we've mentioned it twice.
It's such a big deal. Yeah. So we are doing Series 5, Episode 1, Holoship. The episode originally aired on February 20th, 1992. I'm glad that you put that because I mentioned that too. Our final episode, we are about 11 months from the previous final episode of Series 4, which was March 14th, 1991.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I put that in there because I think it's just because we talk about when these get filmed and stuff, and I thought it was interesting to sort of look between the end of the previous season and when the new one came out because it's interesting.
Well, and I would say this one feels like a continuation, but just long enough for some changes to have occurred.
Yes.
Costume designs and things like that have happened.
Yes, I have a note about that in my notes, actually, something I want to bring up. That I wasn't sure whether it was just me not really, like my memory being crap, as it is nowadays, or whether it has changed, but you'll probably know better than me, because you'll notice that stuff more than I do.
Well, the synopsis of this Holoship episode is Rimmer is abducted by the high IQ crew of the Holoship Enlightenment, who have abandoned love in favor of daily sex. Wishing to join the crew and leave the Red Dwarf behind, Rimmer must engage in a battle of wits to earn his place.
That's exactly how she says it as well.
And have constant, gratifying sex.
Jane Horrocks, as if that was Jane Horrocks as well. That's brilliant.
So good. That's skipping ahead a bit, but I definitely wrote down her constant guilt-free sex line that Commander Nirvana Crane, which is what a great name. Her delivery of the word sex is amazing.
I assume you know who Jane Horrocks is.
I don't know that I do.
So she's quite a relatively famous actress. She was in a movie called Little Voice that came out maybe 10 or 15 years ago. I think Ewan McGregor was in it. And then I'm sure she was a voice in Chicken Run.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, pulling her up and looking at her now.
Yeah, she's relatively famous. Chicken Run, yeah. She's relatively famous. Little Voice is brilliant. If you haven't seen it, I think you would enjoy that.
Yeah, she's got a ton of stuff. Dawn of the Nugget. She's Babs. Okay, yes.
Yeah. She's relatively famous.
She is amazing in this. Like, so good. I love her delivery of everything. Also, there are a lot, actually, to be honest, Matthew Marsh, Don Warrington, every guest star on this is great.
Yes.
The lady I forget her name, but plays the Russian.
Oh, yeah.
Commander, like even the Simon Paisley Day, who's like, he's famous as well. There's all these people that are like small roles that do like a ton of stuff.
Yes.
And they're all so good. Like this is just a stacked character performer guest appearance on the episodes. Like, and they're all so good. Like, yeah. And I wonder if this is me maybe adding my own spin to it, but I wonder if there's an element to, at this point, So when Craig Ferguson appeared on Red Dwarf, it's series 1.
Yes.
And the show is still like, no one's seen it,
No.
you know, when he's on there. So now you've series 5. Ostensibly, you have people that have watched it, enjoyed it, possibly fans.
And want to be on it. Yeah.
Right. And are on the show. So what I was going to say was everybody nails what they're doing in this episode so well. I wonder if it helps that the Red Dwarf has just now been on for 4 series. So by the time they go in to record, they also kind of know what's up.
Yes. I guess that's because like a lot of people, you think a lot of people who were joining the cast to play like small roles were reading the script and not really fully understanding their place in it because they didn't understand the dynamic between us. If you go back before Crichton was obviously Kat, Lister and Rimmer, now they've potentially watched 4 seasons of it and know that dynamic and how they can fit into that dynamic and play off that. Yeah, that makes a huge amount of sense. Just to jump in a little bit there, my wife is obviously listening. She's also just said that Jane Horrocks was bubbled in Absolutely Fabulous, if you watched that at all.
Oh, yes. That's what I mean. Like, it's so good. Like, this cast is amazing. I also think it helps that, like, for the Holoship, they are literally in outfits so reminiscent of Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
Like, from Star Trek 2. That, like, I think also they know, like, oh, I get it. We're a bunch of smart, like, I got you. I see what we're doing here. And everyone's so good. I mean, I think my favorite thing in general might just be they are how Rimmer views himself.
Yes. Well, it's funny. It's interesting you say that because when we get on to the next episode, as you know, we record these 2 at a time. The next episode, you saying that's quite interesting, but yes.
Right. Well, I think it's how he tries to make himself be seen by the outside world, right? Different than like what his deepest heart says about it. But I mean, so I know I bring this up frequently, but again, growing up in rural North Carolina, why the show would just be like, what? Like the old joke about, I didn't know you could do that. The first page, the Bible has been found.
Where I knew that's where you were going to go.
All characters inside are fictitious, and any I love this one with Rimmer. Like that's Lister being like, that's what you said about the story of King of Kings. It's the story of Jesus. And he's like, it's true. A simple carpenter's son who learned magic and wouldn't go into show business.
Yeah. Preposterous. Yeah, I knew you'd go there. I literally wrote religious joke on my show notes because I knew you would bring that up.
And it comes out twice, I believe, too. Like,
yeah, I was trying to think, is it this episode when it's like, oh, the carpenter's son who opened the world's largest chain of pizza companies or whatever it was. Yeah, I was like, that's so.
Yeah, Tony Babbitt or something like that. Like,
what was his name? Beetlebaum or something like that, wasn't it?
Beetlebaum. Yes.
Because it sets off like it's going to be Jesus. The simple carpenter's son. Like, oh, we're going to go there again. I was like, oh no, we opened the pizza chain. Brilliant.
The largest pizza chain. Harry Beetlebaum. That's his name. Yeah.
So going back to what we were talking about earlier. Has Crichton's head changed slightly?
Oh, I mean, for sure. I think every year they get better at it. Some years, as we'll get, he also changes. So the headpiece has to change. But I do think they get better at it. Like now is this time, but I think between series 5, this one 6 and 7, that it's kind of nailed in the sense that even on our modern HD TVs, you don't see like the flecks of latex foam and you know what I mean, like coming up. Like right now, when I imagine Crichton in my head, this is what I see. Okay. Like with the face being very smooth, and they've nailed it. Like they've got it down, and they obviously have enough budget to have a few spare heads, laying around or whatever. But it does change a little bit, and part of me wonders, like, is that. I mean, also he gets so, because you can see him playing with it in the first series 3 and especially 3. You see him playing with how his face looks. Like you can imagine Robert Lewin sitting in front of a mirror in the mask. Like,
yes, you said that before, haven't you? Kind of, because it's like that thing. I was remembered watching the documentary about RoboCop when Peter Weller had to like learn the movements, and then he put the suit on and had to relearn it all again because the suit was so heavy. His movements that he'd originally learned weren't the same. And I guess this is similar to that, where he's probably worked out how Crichton is, then put the prosthetics on and gone, oh, I have to like really amplify everything I'm doing so it comes through the mask effectively.
Yeah, it's funny. So you say, did his face change again? And I'm like, no, it's normal now. is where my brain is.
Yes.
Because this is like where he works the best. Like the shape of his own natural face fits it just right. And he gets really good at that. That like upside down, that frown he does that works so well in it. So I imagine also the guys working on it have seen him. And,
yes,
you know, I'm sure there's feedback of how was it today and what, you know, so I do think it's a matter of just continually getting better at it. He's very good at those facial expressions are like spot on with the mask now.
It's interesting because I've said to you before that Crichton's never been my favourite character. Like, I understand why he's there, and I do kind of like him. And the last season, and then this one, these 2 episodes, I've really grown to like Crichton a lot and realise what his actual place is there, because he is funny, but he downplays it. He's very much the straight man. Like,
as ridiculous as he is,
yes,
he's super straight man.
And he is. And I've never realised that before, that a lot of what he does is played very earnestly. Even though the funny lines, it's still played earnestly. And I think that's what makes it work as well as it does. There's very much a section in the next episode. But then even this one he's doing, but for 2 slight drawbacks. It's played straight. It's not played, even though it is played for laughs, he's not playing it for laughs, if that makes sense.
Like, the android is literally like, I don't want to have to explain this again in a dangerous situation, so I'm going to repeat this twice to the cat. Not like out of you're an idiot, but just I have to do this, you know? Like one of his lines about doing the mind meld, whatever, to make Rimmer smart. And he's like, even accounting for the drag of your own mind, sir. And it's like totally just factual the way he's saying it, which is what makes it even funny.
Because you said, it's true. Because like it does. It's not saying it to take the piss out of Rimmer. He's saying it because it is a fact that he needed to account for. And it was the same. Which episode was it? When so I can't remember which one it was, and Rimmer says something. No, so I've completely accounted for your cowardice. Which episode's that?
Oh yeah, no, I've completely accounted for your cowardice, sir. Meltdown, when he talks about going to travel.
Yes.
Yes. He's going to experiment, because like it doesn't matter if we go, if there's no atmosphere, you don't breathe, and I'm an android.
And it's not said to kind of look down on Rimmer. It's said because I know it's a fact. I know it's something I need to account for, and don't worry about it. I already have.
Yeah, it's like in his stack of crew files that's in the hard drive of his brain. Like that's right there. He is so good on this. I do love and Kat, for these couple episodes, Kat is doing our sort of one-liner jokes again.
Yes.
But like, it's not like the first season, and I don't know if it's because the character is baked in better and he is up front and with them trying to do things. I think
that is exactly it.
And I think that was my take at these first episodes we watched of series 5 of 1 and 2. But I withhold judgment on that because the previous series, we were like, man, no Rimmer. And then we got a bunch of Rimmer at the end. And we found out later it was because of how they had to rejigger the episodes a bit. So, you know, I won't hold anything here, but I do absolutely love Cats. Like, oh my goodness, they've taken Mr. Rimmer. Quick. Get out of here fast before they send him back.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference, like you say, in the first season, or the first and second series, he wouldn't be there. He'd pop in, make a one-liner, and then pop off.
And
whereas
literally
now,
just go.
Yeah, he's already there, so he's just part, and it feels more natural rather than, we need someone to make this joke, we're just going to bring the cat in for that, and then off he goes.
Yeah, come in and go, wah, and say a line and then leave. Yeah, and now he's like hanging with him.
Yeah. Because it's funny how you say that as well. Like, Cat isn't the same character, is he? Like, for you doing that, wow, I've realised we don't get any of that anymore.
No, I mean, it will happen, but it tends to happen out of something that is happening in the story. Whereas in the other one, it would just cut to the cat, you know.
Yeah, that's mine. And we don't get any of that anymore. It shows like how the natural progression of his character, that you don't notice it until it actually gets brought up and you're like, I realised that he's quite a different character than he was when he first came in.
Well, it's even like the cat and Rimmer, like Rimmer's dead and he's a hologram. Whoa, that's crazy. And then Cat, he's from cats, or evolved from cats. That's crazy. There's funny stuff to do there, but really, you've kind of done everything you can do with that.
True.
And so now, but in the other hand, it kind of feels real because if they've been palling around together for 5 years now,
they just treat him like another one of the crew.
Yeah, you're just part of the, and I love that because there is a shift, especially from last series to this one, where or in the last two series, I should say, from the previous ones, where like he is just there. He's part of the crew. Yeah. He's always hanging out. I mean, it's like your little brother or something who's just always there. Like what's going on? But he does not have much in this episode, but what he does have, I find quite funny.
Like the beginning when they're watching the movie and he's like, well, I enjoyed the first bit with all the ducks doing the stupid things, and then as soon as it turned black and white, I fell asleep.
So that was the opening cartoon.
But it's funny, like such a weird episode, this one as well. I don't think we've had an episode like this that it's quite, I mean, they're all quite well structured, but this one's very, what's the word I want to use? It's structured like a real episode or like a real movie. Do you know? Because they set the entire episode up in the first 3 minutes. So they're watching the movie about the guy.
Yeah, even the movie.
Yeah.
Right? The opening, all of it is part of it. Yeah.
Setting up how the episode's going to go. And you haven't seen Red Dwarf do that before. Normally, that cold opening that you talk about, generally has nothing to do with the rest of the episode. Again, going back to a conversation we had 2 or 3 episodes ago, my wife and I are currently watching Malcolm in the Middle. Again, ready for the new episodes. And they do, that cold opening, 2.5 minute joke at the beginning. It's got nothing to do with the rest of the episode, and then we move on into the episode. And Red Dwarf kind of used to do that. This, on the other hand, is very much setting up the rest of the the rest of this episode. Well,
and did you see in some of the trivia and stuff, this one actually had 8 or 10 minutes cut out of it that
yes.
they wrote and filmed a ton. And I think that actually might speak to why it feels so tight and so complete, for lack of a better term. Like, oh, we have an idea and this is what we want to do. Is if you're at that point where you're like, man, this is supposed to be a 28-minute thing and it's 38 minutes now. You get real judicious about how you're looking at things. Love some of the stuff, like the design work of the Holoship made out of that clear plastic. It looks unlike anything else. And I saw there was a lot of, I guess on the DVD you can see there's some special effects where the ship would change form and whatever, but that Holoship is also cool.
It really is. We've talked about some of the effects being kind of ropey and then other times them being really good, and that Holoship is one that is really, really good.
It's also almost a Douglas Adams idea. If you got this idea of people can be resurrected on a hologram, and it's been, several years since the initial Red Dwarf story where the hologram's more advanced, that you'd be like, oh my gosh, we could send the smartest people that have ever been to go explore stuff.
Yes.
Great, because they're a pain in my ass and I don't want them here anyway. And that's where the Douglas Adams part comes in a little bit they're so annoying.
Because then you don't have to worry about them dying. You can send them off wherever. You've just said something there that's brought a question up in my head. What makes a more advanced hologram?
Well, I'm going to assume that whatever the ship is that, they can all touch it. Is the ship hologrammatic itself? That they have the ability to travel super, because he says they're just tachyons basically. And they have the ability to travel through space super, super fast.
But it's more about the holograms themselves. They're like, oh, you're an older hologram. What's the difference between an older hologram and a new? Because on that ship, Rimmer can do everything they can. So right. It's like Crichton being a Series 4000 mechanoid and then there being a Series 8000. You could understand an upgrade in that, but what's the difference between Rimmer's version of a hologram and that Holoship crew's version of a hologram? What's being upgraded? I don't get it. I
mean, I'm going to get, one, they don't need a holo cage.
I mean, Rimmer doesn't really anymore either, to be fair, but okay.
But I just get the idea, it's an old, whatever that light bee is, it's just old. And there's newer stuff now that, they use. Well, the way that they don't send Rimmer to go travel through a light beam and go into a space, right? He has to travel with them.
Oh, yeah.
With his light bee.
So they can just yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they can just go and it doesn't even seem like,
yes.
and they're able to transport him out. So they have the ability to teleport the light bees or whatever. Also, they have a cool H circle on their forehead.
That's the difference, like the new logo.
So you know they're advanced. Which I feel like there's a joke there, but the episode is already too long of like, oh well, we have to degrade you now, so we'll take your hologram back to the old version that but they don't really explain like why it's better or whatever.
Yeah.
Hit Rimmer's face on traveling through the elevator when it's like now stopping floor 3125 sports and sexual recreation. The
like,
face he makes is amazing. Which of course leads to our constant guilt-free sex line. But
funny, I'm just reading in the trivia again there. I should have put this on in earlier. So Jane Horrocks said she based, and it's funny after what Tracy's just texted me, but Jane Horrocks said she based her character Nirvana Crane on Joanna Lumley, which makes sense because they were both in Ab Fab together.
Oh, that's hysterical.
That's funny.
I remember as a kid, my grandma got a satellite dish and like catching Ab Fab and Red Dwarf on the satellite dish because now I could actually find things and when they were listed.
Yes.
I do this whole series. This whole thing has just a great sense of like funny lines constantly, but they're all born in the moment, right? They're not like the old cat lines we're talking about. Like, let's just go do a funny thing.
Yes.
Like, everything's born, just like the what do you when you want to have sex? Go for a run?
Yeah,
like
that could have gone so much. Like my mind went to so many different places when she asked that question. It's like if I was to answer that question in Rimmer's situation, there's so many darker places I could have gone.
I just go for a run, and he's so off put by the whole thing.
Yeah.
I love the and then when he gets up there and is talking to them everybody about it's the top of the top. It's the cream of the crop. You'll test your intellect.
Yeah.
And like every time, and how smart you are in multiple languages.
Like I'm whatever the Captain so-and-so IQ 241. He's like second technician Arnold Rimmer IQ unknown.
Unknown.
And like so and inferior at that point.
I do love the cuts back to Starbug, though, for one of my favorite bits in any Red Dwarf is the listed a Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
Unintelligent creature. Was it brains in the anal region?
Yeah. Genitalia, small and inoffensive.
Like, so good. And the fact he just freaking eats that cigarette that he's using as a fake transponder or transmitter antenna that it looks like something he saw on the streets of Liverpool. Like the fact that he just like takes that thing, starts chewing it, and rips off his shirt. Oh my God, so good.
I have a question going back to the elevator bit with constant guilt-free sex. She says they are told to have sex twice a day for it's a health rule. How could it be a health rule for a hologram?
For a hologram. I think it's an emotional health rule.
I thought it was a strange one. It's like, I know we scrutinise these episodes way more than Doug Grant and Rob Naylor probably did when they wrote them 35 years ago, whatever it was. But it's obviously a funny thing, but it's like, I don't understand how that's a health rule for someone who's already dead.
If you want to get sci-fi with it, if you're making people constantly randomly have sex with each other twice a day with different people, you will eliminate try to further eliminate the relationship coupling that they are so against.
Yeah.
So there's like one way you could justify,
I suppose. Yes, that's true.
A kind of a sci-fi thing.
Yeah, they get used to just having it with anybody and no emotional attachments because you can't possibly, otherwise it would kill you.
I love that. I love the Russian character when Rimmer's like, I think I have what it takes to be on this ship. She's like, seriously? And her like really bad, like super thick, stereotypical Russian accent. I was disappointed to see that. Like, I was like, can I see her in anything else? Because she just makes me laugh. But I couldn't find any much on IMDb.
Right.
But she just cracked me up with her delivery. I could pencil you in the next week on Tuesday. I'm free.
Oh, I'm washing my hair. It's funny as well when she's doing like when they go through the crew, because obviously he decides he wants to be on the ship and the only way he can do it is dead man's shoes. So basically challenge someone on the ship to an intellectual contest, and if he wins, he gets to take their place. And she's like, I'm just going through the computer to get the best match to give you the highest opportunity to win. And it's like a 96% chance of failure. That's his closest person that he could take on this contest is a 4% chance of him actually winning. That's how far behind those people he actually is.
I love the, what is his name? Dan, I pulled up his name, but the dude who was the guest star that Lister was like insulting. Dan,
oh, yeah, he's
Don Warrington.
Yeah, he's quite
been in
famous
a ton of
as
stuff,
well. Yes,
but love his delivery of thanks to enlightenment, human is under the assumption that they can hurt a hologram. Like his delivery is delightful,
like an air of like total superior, like complete superiority.
What do we have here? A human, or at least a very close
that's the best.
approximation
Yeah,
of one.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's the best one. Yeah, class, and a particularly ugly one as well. Brilliant.
Would have suggested it for the zoo, but yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm enjoying talking about this episode way more than I actually did watching this episode, which, yeah.
What was it? Listed red dwarf, a complete and utter smeg pot.
Funny. Yeah, that was funny, actually. I'm trying to remember what the captain's name is. It was ridiculous.
I got it right. Captain Hercule Platini. Well, obviously in this story, they decided to have guilt-free sex with Commander Nirvana Crane. And I love like how serious the moment gets where they're laying in bed afterwards and Rimmer is just like, that was amazing. That was different. And he says, was I okay? And her like talking about, you
like a Chinese,
like a Japanese meal.
Yeah.
Japanese meal, small portions, but so many courses.
And it's like, it's never been like that before. Everybody says that.
And then she says, he talks about like, you're different because we usually talk about whatever astronavigation, yada, yada, this or that. And Rimmer's, I apologize. I must have seemed rather ignorant. I hardly said anything apart from Geronimo.
Oh, God.
And it's Chris Berry's ability to like, that is so stupid and funny, but he delivers it so real. It's apart from Geronimo. It's the delay before he says it friggin' kills me.
Because then there's a line, isn't there, about him playing tennis, and he's like, do you fancy what was it? How does he say it now?
Oh, tiebreaker?
Yes. And she's like, no.
Do you fancy a tiebreaker? I love the bit back, because this is such a Rimmer episode, so whenever you cut back to the guys, it's like the bit with Commander Binks coming down and investigating them, but when it goes back to them interviewing holograms to try and replace Rimmer from the ship's log,
best one ever.
So good.
Best bit.
That lady, and she's famous, right? Like, but
I don't know. I don't recognize her.
It was like, this was her first TV thing. I'm going to pull her up here.
Lucy Briers. Oh, she has a famous father. So I don't know.
She was in one of your favorite movies, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Was she?
Yeah. How about that?
Okay. The bit at the beginning when Barry Allen goes for the interview at the dog when he rescues.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when he rescues Iris from the... Okay. I need to go and watch that again because she's changed quite a bit. I mean, that was a long time ago. Yeah, her father was Richard Briers, who was in a lot of sort of BBC comedy shows back in the 70s and 80s, Ever Decreasing Circles. He was in The Good Life with, funnily enough, another Red Dwarf reference. We'll go there with Felicity Kendall. Because they saw, remember Holly back in which episode it was when he said we saw a moon shaped just like Felicity Kendall's bottom. We flew around that one a few times.
She's also in the House of the Dragon.
I've never watched any.
Sierra Lannister. Me neither. That's a blind spot for me.
We watched the first episode and it's like, incest. And do I really need to watch an entire TV show based on incest? And we never watched it. And then it's gone that long that it's like, do we really have the time to invest into like 10 seasons of
so
Game of
imagine
Thrones?
The books, which still aren't through. That's what someone handed me the first book that's like 1,000 pages long.
Right.
And I read like half of it and it got to the point of the two of them and pushing the boy. And I was like, this is not for me. I put it down, and because there was like, but you love fantasy and you love like, I get what he's doing with this sort of like real history is messed up. This is our side podcast. We've never watched or read all of the.
We don't know a lot about Red Dwarf, to be fair, either, Blake, apparently, but all right.
Apparently we get those comments, but it just didn't grab me. So I'm with you, and then it blew up, and everybody started talking. I just was like, I don't know.
It felt too long. It felt too late, too far in to start rewatching it. I mean, there's too much stuff. Look, we just had to rewatch the first series of The Last of Us in prep for the new episode coming out tonight. Even though I know the story back to front, but yeah.
You're right.
We're finally caught up on Daredevil. We're currently watching Echo to get ready to binge Daredevil Born Again. Anyway, that's not Red Dwarf.
trying to catch up on everything.
There's too much. Not enough time in the day, man. Seriously.
No. That's the problem. There's things like, I want to see this, but I kind of want to see the other thing before.
Yeah.
Yep. I do. I was trying to think. For this episode, I just would write down things that made me laugh. And Crichton's speech about like, but sir, being on this ship where you're forced to have sexual congress 2 times a day with strangers on the ship. I mean, am I the only person that finds this just a bit tacky? And the cut back to Lister and Cat just frozen.
Like, it's like, I guess I am then.
Yeah. But like, and even like Lister's speech about like, come on, remember, why do you want to do this? It's a bunch of like egomaniacs, megalomaniacs, yada. What am I saying? Bon voyage. You fit right in. Like,
it's funny. This was the first episode, so when they do the mind melt to get, like you said, it's like even taking into consideration the drag of your own mind, we still think we'll get something special, and it's the first time since Polymorph that we've had Chris Barry be able to do like an impression, like to play a different character for quite a while, and it's kind of give Keisha Chance Rimmer mixed with the sort of science officer that he impersonated way back when.
Yes, I absolutely, given that we're a high Euclidean, whatever, fifth dimensional, and that like breathe out that he does at the end.
Funny. I never noticed that until my third viewing either. And I'm like, that is so weird, but it's funny. Yeah.
It's so good. And you can just see him like eating grin, just waiting on that chair to turn around and do that bit for the first time.
And it shows his recall is really good because that whole thing is written off in one go. And I'm like, how the hell do you learn all of that? Because it's all bollocks, right?
Oh, it's just nonsense being spewed out.
Because it's funny when they start the contest, I actually paused it to see what the first question was. It didn't even seem like a question. It was all to do with theta and alpha and this, that, and I was like, no, what the hell?
I'll do both at the same time.
Yes.
And that's impossible.
I've wrote down, considering the amount of weird comedy references we get, and it's funny, in this one and the next one, those quintessentially British references have very much all but disappeared at this point.
Yeah, they're kind of gone. But you could say like, well, was it getting more popular in the States? But I actually think it might just be that they now have enough humor to pull from these characters that they fully because if you think about season 1 and 2, they're still figuring it out.
Yeah.
As far as like how these, like, yes, we look at it and we would even say several times like, oh, well, something would happen in season 1 that you're like, this really sets up how these people will be together.
Yes. And now they are there.
But, yeah, and now they are. So I don't think you have to like cram in these references and stuff to get a joke because it's just there.
But I'm surprised there wasn't one. And Tracy was a big fan of this person, so I was like, it'd have been around about this time. She's like, yeah. So when Rimmer's doing the test and he's like, I'm going to attempt to do these both at once, and he's got 2 computers and he's tapping away, I'm surprised they didn't make a Jean-Michel Jarre joke there. Because it looked like Jean-Michel Jarre in concert doing like do. You could imagine that was the joke they would have made if they'd have done this in like series 1 or 2 or 3.
It's his timing that cracks me up. The whole and when they switch hands and like he's crossed, like it's so funny to me because he's just so good at timing, like physically and with like the verbal cues and stuff are so good. Chris Barry is constantly amazing. And even though the rest of the crew doesn't have as much to do, what they do is so good.
Yes.
You know, just like the bits of like, am I the only one that finds this tacky? And the two of them just like frozen in space.
Well, the best bit is when they're interviewing, is it Binks? And she's like, so basically you do...
Oh, Harrison. That's the
yeah. You do salvaging and eating curries and stuff and whatever. And it's like, well, we don't do a lot of salvaging, but you do sound like you eat a lot of curries, is one of my favourite lines in the whole thing.
Well, I think I'm better off where I am. But you're dead. Yes, and meeting you guys has really made me appreciate that. It's like, she's she good. So I almost hate we don't see her again. Yes,
I agree.
Because she just... Well, and it's funny because a character comes back and becomes a main character, and she kind of echoes it. In another world, she could have been a replacement Kachansky.
That would have been cool. Yeah, I could have quite happily seen that. Like, they could have done this episode differently, where as soon as they thought Rimmer was going and not coming back, brought her in, and her being part of that crew for the most of the episode, and then by the end of it, she's realised, like, I can't do this. I can't hang out with you people. I need to go. That would have been funny. Because she is really good. Like you say, like, you would have loved to have seen so much more of her.
She just nails what anybody would feel like running into them so well.
Yes.
And again, it's the whole cast, like everybody, all the guest stars, everybody that's in they're just perfect. And so many of the guest stars don't have as much to do, but they're still perfect. Like that captain, he is such a D-bag. Like he's so good.
Have you noticed as well that I've found this, and this is where the Britishism still comes into it, that they tend to play, and I don't understand it, especially in the current climate of when we're recording this, of 2025. But like Crichton, android, supposed to be quite intelligent, American, captain of the Holoship, supposed to be he is, by his IQ, the most intelligent hologram on that ship, American. Why do we do those people with American accents?
I think for the captain, they're just going for a Captain Kirk thing.
Maybe.
To me, I feel like that's what that is. It's just because you even got the Russian, like, because, you know, the Star Trek.
Yes. Chekhov. Yes.
Chekhov. And so, you know, so to me, that makes sense. I'm just thinking it's Star Trek.
That makes sense. Yes. Okay.
Because even the guy obviously doesn't look a Vulcan, but the guy who's like a science officer or something up there, like.
Okay. Yeah.
So, because even if you kind of hear the way he talks, he doesn't do the like super played out thing from William Shatner, but he does kind of. Yeah, it's almost like it's like literally if you smash William Shatner into Zach Brannigan from Futurama. It kind of puts the two of them together. But that was my take. Is it was more
that makes sense. That makes more sense.
Trying to be Captain Kirk, like and an American too, because remember they're supposed to be pompous and annoying.
Yes.
These, as Crichton says, like, no wonder they didn't bother with us. Like, notoriously, you know.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because it's kind of a callback to Red Dwarf. That the captain of Red Dwarf was an American. I mean, he was an actual American, not a British person doing an American accent.
I watched him on TV a night or two ago because my little daughter has been obsessed with Xenomorphs. We finally,
awesome.
A really bad weekend for weather last weekend, and she was coming off a cold, so we finally watched the original Alien and then watched Aliens. And then she wanted to see the one with the deleted scenes, so we started watching the deleted scenes. And I'm like, all right, I forget that.
On LV-426, he's like the guy on the terraforming
Hadley's
thing.
Hope.
Yeah.
And what's funny is he's almost playing the captain from Red Dwarf in it.
He might have been. Like, that's what he did before they shipped him off.
Because this was 85, 86. 86 is Aliens. So in 85, he does those scenes that get cut, but like. The way he talks and the kind of character he is, it is almost the captain. And I've seen him in other things where he comes across as differently.
Yeah.
But it's jarring to me whenever I see it, considering it was 88? Is that the launch of Red Dwarf?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pre-Aliens. It's just funny with all the alien crossovers that we get. And I just was like, I forget he's in this bit. And he's eating a donut.
I thought there was an interesting callback as well. I don't know whether it was done on purpose, but obviously, you know, they do the mind mesh and it fails halfway through. Is kind of I might be looking far too much into this. I felt like it was a throwback to Better Than Life, where it proves again that even the best things for Rimmer will not stick. His brain will not allow him to have good things happen to him, so it sabotaged him again. And I felt like it was a callback to Better Than Life.
Which he says even when he's like, why are you interviewing new people? Like, we didn't think you were coming back. He was like, don't you know who I am?
Exactly.
Everything always fails. Although when he does get it, I absolutely love his super heartfelt speech that ends with, over the years, I have come to regard you guys as people I've met. And again, it's he knows how to pause just long enough before delivering a thing. And he does that so real that it does not feel like a joke is coming. It feels like
it's going to be actually heartfelt, because maybe he is leaving. You never know.
Right. Well, and as us, the audience, we know, I think at this point, that she is going to she did it. She made sure that he won. And so it says the person, because he says, I won. Whoever I was against withdrew. So we know that this is going to go back to normal. We know.
Yeah.
We see the beginning of the show. So, for his delivery could have been a nice one. And it's delivered so straight. To guard you as people I've met is so, oh my God, so good.
But then, like I say, we completely got it foreshadowed that how the movie went that they watched at the beginning is exactly how this episode goes. We've never seen Red Dwarf do that before.
No. Even all the way to the very end. Yeah. Literally, the end closes with the beginning. And I won't get into the dialogue here, but
good.
The final line is brilliant.
Yes.
And my wife said, at the reaction to something that Rimmer says, that he has a reaction to himself saying it, she goes, and now I can't not see this all over Chris Berry's performance. She said, he has the best I just smelled a fart face ever.
I will watch that moving forward.
And look at it when his nostrils flare and he freaks out over something, or like something's terrible. Like, it absolutely. I'm like, yeah, I think you go back and watch that. That it's like what we'd say about if you want to be a good bass player. I know this is an audio medium, but you're supposed to, if you're a good bass player on stage, you're supposed to like, you start to smell a fart and your face leans forward and you lift it away and you move your head and you close your eyes backwards to get away from it.
It's like Joey.
He does that.
It's like Joey in Friends, isn't it? When he's talking about acting, it's like when you're looking confused. It's that like someone's farted, but you don't know what it is. We need to do video podcasts of this at some point. One of the trivia things I did want to bring up, and it's something we talk about a lot when we talk about these episodes, of like continuity of when they were filmed and when they were supposed to air, in what order. And this one, in the trivia, said it was filmed third, but it was chosen to lead the series off because it was felt that it would draw viewers in the same way Camille did. In the previous
and it definitely
series.
Has echoes of Camille. You got an old movie, but I'll say. Camille is great because it gives Crichton, we needed it. We needed like a solid character thing for Crichton, and for us to latch into the idea that like he is the learning to lie, that he is becoming more human and that kind of stuff, which even comes up in the subsequent episode of this. And it's weird because it almost is like too much the same, except so different, that even though it starts with an old movie that ends with, the old movie again, kind of circling around, this still works for me. Both of them do. It doesn't feel like they're derivative of one another.
It's interesting as well that we've talked before as well about the first episode of each series kind of being a recap.
Yes.
I think we said, I think it was Camille the first episode of series 4?
Yes.
So we said, didn't we? So we said on that episode that it very much felt like it was not reintroducing, but just kind of solidifying for those people who potentially are just jumping in at that point that this is Rimmer, this is Lister, this is the cat, and kind of showing that dynamic without feeling like it's being rammed down your throat.
Think about it. The opening bit, like feline sapien, whatever, evolved from the common house cat and only half as smart.
Yeah.
He even have the character that actually does literally say the things.
Yeah, I was literally going to say this episode doesn't feel like it's doing that, but now you mentioned that, it literally does. It literally does.
Yeah, you do it through another
character. Yeah, you're right. Okay, interesting. But then it's interesting that this was filmed third and then chosen to go first then.
Right.
It's odd.
It is. I mean, even though I kind of get it, like, because the next one is a bigger, even though you're like Holoship and holograms, the second one is a bigger sci-fi concept
yes.
than this one, which is a nuts thing to say because they really have leaned into, hey, if it's been 3 million years, a lot of stuff has happened that will be the future for these characters that they don't know about, you know?
Yeah. And I keep saying that thing, don't I? That some of the episodes go big sci-fi concept, and then like sci-fi concept, but a much smaller character-driven episode. And these are this one more than the second one, but the second one's kind of 50-50, isn't it? The first half of the next episode is kind of small character-driven, and then goes into bigger sci-fi concept.
Right. The concept itself is pretty big. It's
pretty
big sci-fi.
Yes.
But I don't know, man. I think I rate this higher than you based on your pre-show comments of like, oh, these 2 episodes.
Well, having this conversation has made me, I think I'm going to rate it a little bit higher than I initially had it. I'm not going to tell you what I initially had it because you go, what? That low?
I just love me a good Rimmer story, and I find it hard to work. And this will lead to another conversation. I find this hard to place below 8 for me because it's a good Rimmer story, and I just love a good Rimmer story. What did you rate it as?
See, I don't think Rimmer is Rimmer. See, we've talked about this before, that my Rimmer is series 1 and 2 Rimmer. And
right.
He's
no growth Rimmer.
And I love that. Like, we don't get angry Rimmer anymore, and I love that. I still go back to, like, my favourite little speech of his is that, I don't care about what stupid smegging hats the Quakers. That whole thing is still one of my favourite monologues of his, and we haven't had anything like that from Rimmer in a long time. And he's still funny, but he's not the Rimmer that I fell in love with. So for all the stories around him, I don't think he is as much of the character that I fell in love with. So initially, I put this down as a 5.
I was going to ask you if you had it at a 6 now. That was what I was going to ask.
Yes. I think I'd go up to a 6, having talked about it. It's much better than I thought. But again, it just, I don't know. It didn't feel a special episode. It was good. I enjoyed it, and it had its moments, but it wasn't anything special.
Now, interestingly, because I had this feeling you might be this way, and granted, these are just, look, IMDb ratings, you got to take them as, it's just people voting or whatever.
Yes.
But I think Red Dwarf probably doesn't have spammers like other stuff did, you know. And it's interesting because this series, starting with this one, rates very high.
Really?
Yes, it rates higher than most. That's an 8.2. Only the previous season beaten by Justice and Dimension Jump. So it's interesting to look at where the ratings are for viewers.
Okay.
Whereas like series 1, you got a lot more 7s floating around in there.
Strange, isn't it? And I wonder if it does come down to the fact of when people discovered them.
Well, I was going to say that's probably the thing. So one thing I noted, like, especially, we didn't talk about it, but new series, new opening, same music, and but like slightly different opening, has the little like widescreen red bars across the top.
Yes, I noticed that. That was weird. I thought there was something wrong with the version of it I was watching.
I think it looks less weird on a regular old TV.
It looked odd. I was like, because on mine, there was only a red bar at the top and not at the bottom. And I'm like, is there something up about this? Like, I'm watching it on the BBC iPlayer and like, is it messed up? Like,
oh, we had red on top and bottom.
I only noticed that it was on the top, which was weird.
Because we had the two sides are black, obviously, because it's 4:3.
Yes.
And and we had them both because my wife's like, something wrong? Is the whole thing going to be widescreen but this way? I was like, no, that's just the opening.
I'm going to have to go and check that.
Yeah, random though, right? Like, but a slight change.
But why? For what purpose?
I don't know. Each one changed. It's the only ones that didn't were series 1 and 2.
Yes,
but it's changed each series has altered a little bit, and I don't know why this one is. This is one that I remember a lot because this particular opening I saw a lot. This series replayed a ton for me,
and that makes I think that plays massively into people's love of certain episodes. Like I say, for me, I came in right from the beginning. The only VHSs I owned were series 1 and 2, so I watched the out of them. So they are my Red Dwarf.
And I'm 12 years old at this point, and this is square in my sights.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm loving it. And that it got into the weird sci-fi adventures, leaned in a little bit onto that, made me happy, and became less of the sitcom because, as I think we've talked about, it was like, well, if we're going to keep doing the show, we got to do other stuff. They can't just keep being these four guys and they got to go places.
Yes.
I mean, even it's funny that we spend more time in Starbug, literally from the starts of episodes where they're out doing stuff and never even barely going back to Red Dwarf, to the point where I was like, wait, is this the part where Red Dwarf is lost? And then going, oh no, it's not. They've got Red Dwarf, but they were out doing something. And it's this implication that they're always out doing things, out doing something, which I guess to keep yourself from going insane, you would become this poor man's like Star Trek of like 3 months of curries and, oh, we've got a thing that could be dangerous, but it's over here. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
I'm so bored.
Would. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this the first appearance of the, what does he call it? Does it end up being called? Tricorder is
the little
Star Trek.
handheld scanner thing.
That becomes important, and it gets used for the next couple of series, like pretty a lot for Crichton. He's always getting. I also like that something starts to get established. Crichton is a robot. He's an android. He's a scientific creation, but he's not a scientist. but he can hold tons of memory in his head, right? Like he's a robot, so he should be able to just recall things. I love that this starts to focus on the idea that he is becoming an amateur science officer, in that you start to take him for like, oh, he's the droid that knows all the stuff. Like he's a robot. He's got these answers and stuff because he investigates. He wants to know scientifically, but he's an amateur about it.
Yes.
He was a cleaning droid. And so this is like a hobby. This is like one of those, I'm trying to be more human, and they don't address it outright, which I like. But like, I wish I could have been this. And Lister going, well, be it, man. Just go do the thing. But I like that he's just doing it. He's just taking on this role because, one, Holly is only worth so much for that kind of thing. And Crichton is trying to keep these humans or his crew alive. So he becomes like this de facto science officer, but he's only so good at it, kind of a thing. I quite like.
Yeah. I get that. Because you forget that that's what he was. He was literally just to serve them. He's not like you say, a technician or an engineer or whatever. He is literally just cooking and cleaning.
Yeah. But now I got to only put on my Florence Nightingale droid outfit and try to.
I love that.
Take care of you. Like, yeah. But it was interesting kind of looking at like the overall reviews of people, and everything for this particular season. I'm very excited as we move forward because I have a couple of all-time favorites that are.
I'm excited.
Absolutely in this one.
I do want to go back to, we mentioned the two minor drawbacks that we didn't actually say the second one because he doesn't. So an adroit suggestion, sir, with just two minor drawbacks, and Kat just goes, okay, forget it, and he doesn't even get to it. It's brilliant.
Well, my favorite one is coming with Junior Rocket Pants or whatever it is.
Okay, I have no. See, these two episodes I had no real memories of at all. Like I've said before, I've seen every episode at least twice, but these ones, like I've said before, where I think if I'm watching them, I'll go, oh yeah, I remember this. This one, no. The second one, the next one, a little bit more, but still not loads.
The next one I knew a little bit, loved it because as a kid, I like the idea of the Inquisitor. This we'll get into, but spoilers. I didn't. It didn't replay a lot.
Okay, yeah, and that's the interesting thing for you, isn't it? Because with the BBC, with us having the BBC, it was on the BBC all the time. But I didn't watch them because, like, when was this? 92? See, I'd have been like 17 at this point, so kind of preoccupied by other things at that point.
Well, I was very excited to sit down and watch both this one and the next one because these two replayed the least, and then episodes 3 through 6 replayed a ton. I think I also managed to record them on my VHS,
nice.
And so I watched them a ton as well.
Oh my God, it's funny. We were watching, so random, some stupid epic fail video on YouTube before we started recording this, And it's funny how even now people still refer to recording things as taping it. And it's like, we haven't used tape to record things in a very long time, yet people still refer to it as, did you tape it last night when it was on? And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I still say that only because those are the last things I did, making mixtapes and recording movies off of HBO or Red Dwarf off of PBS when it played. That's what I did. And I definitely had a tremendous amount of this series. And I think all of Series 6 on video too.
I do want to bring up one last thing before we go. One of the funniest name calls that is so British, and I haven't heard in a long time. We used to use it a lot. Is the term tosspot. I love that. It's a tosspot. And you don't hear that much anymore, and I love it. I forgot how funny it is.
Tosspot's a good one. I can't believe I didn't write that down.
Right. Well, I guess that's good. So you're giving it an 8, are you, Blake?
I am. I tried to go lower,
fine.
but I couldn't.
Yep,
I couldn't.
That's fine. That's where we come up from different perspectives.
Sometimes I wrestle with it the opposite direction and go, I feel like this should be higher. And this time I was like, I think it should be lower. But I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Right. Well, that's going to bring this podcast to an end. Of course, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Dwarf Memory and Twitter at Dwarf_Memory for... if we do post something, it'll be there. But, we kind of don't keep up on it as much as we probably should. I do keep saying I will try more.
I know. I keep promising to do the same thing. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you can, and email us your comments to dwarfmemory@gmail.com.
And the next episode we will be discussing, as Blake has already alluded to there, will be the second episode of Series 5, which is Episode 2, The Inquisitor. Make sure to watch before you join us for the next episode. Braswell, welcome aboard. I trust everything's to your satisfaction.
Permission to speak, sir. I wish to resign my commission.
Resign? May I ask your reasoning, please?
Flight Commander Crane has taken leave of her senses and fallen in love with me, sir.
Love? Surely not. Commander Crane is far too intellectually advanced to submit to a mere short-term hormonal imbalance.
That's why she withdrew from the challenge and allowed me to win, sir.
Mr. Braswell, what you are suggesting is that somehow she cared more for your happiness than she did for her own life.
Am I? Yes, sir. I suppose I am, sir.
And now you are doing something equally unfathomable. Resigning so that she can be reinstated, even though here you could have everything, a position of command, an effective physical presence, everything.
Perhaps you'd be kind enough to pass this note on to her, sir?
I understand your gesture, but really your resignation solves nothing. After all, the two of you will still be apart.
Permission to return to Red Dwarf, sir.
Granted.
Oh, and sir, you're wrong. We won't be apart. We just won't be together. Cannot believe I just said that.